He's an 8-time Louisiana Association of Broadcasters Award winner. And he snapped a ball through his legs.
Wait, why does your name get to go first?
Shut up.
This is Scone and T.
Because they made us.
All right. Welcome in. Scone and T from Oliver Twist, a victorious Wednesday. If you're watching live, apologize. We are a few minutes late. YouTube was not cooperating with the
We may
stream.
not have a camera on YouTube, but no, it looks like we may actually.
Good.
Okay, we're good. Never mind.
So
All right,
shout out
go,
to Musso.
Way to go,
for getting this
Moose!
rolling. Actually, I don't know if we are actually. We're not seeing. There we are. Yes, we're good. Okay. So for those
who cares? As long as we have audio, we're good to go.
We're here. Watching, listening on demand. We appreciate you live or on demand for being with us every Wednesday, 7 o'clock Central Time from Olive or Twist in Baton Rouge. Matt, T-Bob, we're glad to have you aboard with us here. Thanks for being patient as we're a few minutes late getting cranked up today. But as someone in the YouTube chat said, in honor of LSU's offense, a few minutes late today.
Good call by Luke Holloway. A little bit of a slow start in honor of LSU's last victory.
You concerned at all about the slow starts offensively for LSU?
No. I could not have left. Look at this, man. And here they're bringing us gumbo with a piece of French bread. Are you
I'm
kidding
just glad
me,
I
dude?
don't have to share with you this time. Thank you so
the
much.
Season. I was a little worried about that as well with the gumbo. Shout out Oliver Twist, man. I got the papaya killer tonight, a delicious cocktail we'll talk about more later. But, no, Matt, I am not worried. In fact, based off of how pessimistic I felt after watching the FSU and Southern film, which to me, I guess the Southern film, when I watched it, it was just like everything that went wrong, I was just like, and then everything that went right, I was just like, oh, well, okay, whatever, it's Southern, right? So I was very pessimistic entering this Mississippi State game. And
did you pick LSU to win it? Did you think they would win?
No.
Okay, you had State.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't actually play the game.
No,
I didn't have any idea, but no, publicly. But again, you know what I say? I can never tell where the memes end and the analysis begins, because I was trying to do a bit of a reverse psychology thing to Rivers and the Mississippi State fan base, because they don't like being in that position. Like, they don't like being
favored.
Yeah, they don't like being like, oh, well, I guess
it's uncomfortable.
Yes, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, Will Ryan, and I believed it though. Like, I was watching film, and I thought that Mississippi State looked like the much better team. Which, imagine my shock when I watched this film, Matt, and the team just didn't win. By the end of the game, they beat Mississippi State's ass. Like, they had broken them. State was dropping balls. They didn't want to tackle anymore. Like, they were tired. They were broken. And it is wild how good the offensive line looked, specifically in pass pro, when you consider how poor things started out against Florida State and even some of the mistakes that you made against Southern. It was, drastic improvement. One of the biggest takeaways of this game, Matt, as well, and this is always exciting, right, when you're a college football fan, when you have elite freshmen emerge. And this felt like a coming out party for not one, not two, but really three different guys. On the offense, both Will Campbell and Emory Jones dominated. Emory Jones also had an incredible special teams tackle we talked about. But, they kicked ass, man. Their pass blocking, Emory Jones looks so natural out there in space and so calm and collected. And Will Campbell just dominated. Straight up locked his guy up every single time, basically. It was a sight to see. And then defensively, Matt House was stellar. In terms of how he confused Will Rogers, in terms of the rotation that they used, and yet still everybody's on the same page. And then the third part of the freshman triumvirate, Harold Perkins, was a dog in multiple different areas. Blitzing from the middle linebacker position, he has that natural feel for it. They rush him off the edge one time, which he gets a half sack along with B.J. Ojolari, who was rushing from a 3-tech at that point. It was really very encouraging to see and got me re-excited about this season, where the first couple of weeks had kind of deflated me in a lot of ways.
I think that's why this season's going to be fun in a different kind of way. It's not going to be fun like 2019 was fun, or your 2011
dominant
season.
year.
Yeah, it's just when you expect to win every game, because I think every Saturday you should, literally every Saturday you should wake up knowing full well LSU might lose that day.
Yes.
And that's always, like, there's always more nervous energy in the stadium with the fan base when there's a threat of a loss. When you're a 3-touchdown favorite over Mississippi State, it's just Saturday. There's not a lot of stress on the weekend. Whenever you're in a pick'em game or a field goal spread game, there's just more angst. There's more anxiety. There's more psycho or analysis of every angle.
It's the most incredible feeling in the world, dude. It's why you spend all day tailgating, building up that anticipation for the coin flip.
It's going to be
for the tilt.
You can always tell. It's like whenever those types of games are like whenever on the first defensive possession. Like if the other team runs the ball and you get them like a stuff or like a 1-yard gain, the whole crowd's like, yeah!
Yes.
It's just like, wait a minute, it's the first play of the game. But that's y'all know. I mean, that's the feeling.
Well, and even with a crowd that was certainly not the biggest in LSU history. In fact, that is one of the things that was kind of interesting is talking to some of the other captains for the 2011 reunion thing. We're kind of like, man, dude, we never really had a home crowd like this. And you could see that, I mean, a lot of the Upper East Side was empty. A lot of the East Side was kind of sparse. Yeah. And it was something where that's the function of being bad for over 2 years, right? Or just 2 years, I guess, basically, right? But the start of this season didn't help inspire confidence. But that's a function of that. Now, what I love about that is everybody who did stick around got treated to an absolute show. And some feelings that they had not had in a while, some hometown dominance in which you really bullied the other team. I mean, that defense bullied a very good offense. And with all the new parts that they have, like imagine what happens when you have guys for multiple years and you have guys that Matt House has developed. Like, whatever. I don't want to run too crazy. But the point is, it was very fun for everybody who did make the commitment, who bought tickets, who stuck around. They were rewarded for that faith.
I think because we've already done so much post-Mississippi State conversation.
Yeah.
And there's really not a lot to talk about this week with New Mexico coming in. We can talk a little bit about what we hope to expect to see. I think today's show is probably going to be a lot about what do we feel like we know, we learned, or what has transpired with the league as a whole. Because a lot's changed in 2 weeks. It's fair to say your opinion of Florida has changed a lot in 2 weeks. All of our
they're last in all passing statistics right now in the SEC.
I think it's fair to say that – oh, that's yours. I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of unknowns about Texas A&M, where you come into the season and they're preseason top 10 and you lose to Appalachian State, but you bounce back and beat Miami. Kind of a sluggish game. You feel like that's a team finding itself. I think.
Well, speaking of A&M, I mean, even Arkansas is confused right now. They have 2 very strong wins, but then we're like, well, actually, are those wins as strong as we thought they were? And then you look, and I was shocked to read this today. Arkansas is dead last in the country in pass defense. Dead last, 131 out of 131 teams.
Oh, the Arkansas frauds?
Well, we're going to
find out this weekend.
This weekend's Fraud Bowl, Fraud Bowl 2.0.
It is.
Texas A&M passed Fraud Bowl number 1. Yeah. Now, if they pass 2 in a row, it's like getting 2 life saves in Dungeons and Dragons. You get back up,
but I don't
or
think
you stabilize.
I don't think this A&M team was ever a real contender. I think Arkansas, the jury is still out on if they can be a contender in the West.
Well, to me, I don't really mean contender. I think everybody's fighting for third best in the SEC. Like, that's all I'm really talking about here.
But in the West, I mean, like, okay, so whenever we went through, like, the whole summer conversation was who was the second best in each division, right?
Yeah.
Who was the second best team in each division.
And then it kind of morphed into who was the third best overall.
Either way, however you want to have the conversation. But, like, if you're specifically looking at the West, I mean, my feeling was you're going to have Bama, and then there's no one's going to be 7-1 or 6-2. I think the second-place team will be 5-3. You'll have a bunch of 4-4, and everybody's going to beat each other. But, like, who's the team that might emerge among that crowd of Auburn and Texas A&M and LSU and Arkansas, obviously? Could one of the Mississippi schools step up? And we talk about Ole Miss. Quietly, Ole Miss has dominated everybody they played, but we've talked about their schedule. They play a shitty schedule until, like, they legit could start 8-0.
What's crazy, okay, that's what I was going to say, because and the analytics love Ole Miss right now. Now, Bill Connolly had an interesting article today that was like the 33 undefeated teams remaining in the FBS and ranking them. And he had Ole Miss higher than any of the other SEC teams. Well, I mean, of the
not
Big
Bama,
Two.
Georgia, yeah.
Not Bama, Georgia. But he had him higher than Florida, or not Florida. He had him higher than Tennessee. He had him higher than Arkansas. He had him higher than Kentucky. So, yeah, there's a lot of belief. And, I mean, they haven't played anybody. They're averaging almost 300 rush yards a game this year.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin is certain. It's flipped on its head because they have two quarterbacks there that are still competing for the job with Jackson Dart and the kid from Mississippi, Luke Altmaier.
Which pretty strong move by Lane, putting up that much offensive production while flipping quarterbacks.
They've got Tulsa this week, and then they're home against Kentucky. And that's going to be a huge game. But then they're at Vanderbilt, home against Auburn, who Ole Miss should win that game. Brian Harsin may not even be the coach at that point. And then they go to LSU, to Texas A&M, home against Bama, at Arkansas, then the Egg Bowl. So they've got a bitch of a 4-game stretch when they go at LSU, at A&M, home against Bama, at Arkansas. But before then, like they could be 8-0.
Yeah, straight up. And 8-0, like putting up some fucking numbers too, like feeling unstoppable. But I've seen that before, and then you run into somebody, and
the only challenge is Kentucky. I mean, they should beat everyone on there except for Kentucky.
I mean, remember that one undefeated LSU team was at the one
it was
of the
15. It was Leonard's team.
Yeah.
And then they got stomped at Bama.
Yeah.
And then they went to Ole Miss and kind of quit, and then they laid down against Arkansas.
Yeah.
So we gonna see Lane, and then they beat A&M. Remember,
well, that was
the less Joe Oliva, all that
as
stuff.
Is
they
tradition.
Lost 3 in a row.
As is tradition.
That was the first
at the end of the year.
That was the first time LSU had lost 3 in a row under Les. Was 2015. They were undefeated. They lost to Bama, Ole Miss, Arkansas. And the Arkansas game was embarrassing. They got. I was on the elevator leaving the press box, going down to the field with an LSU administrator who had some very colorful language as to what we were all watching transpire. In that LSU.
That wasn't the one where Bielema broke the loss streak. That was
that was the year before in Fayetteville.
You don't never forget about that. I was at a Pelicans game that night, and the Pelicans outscored LSU's total yardage. They put up like 130 or 140 or something, and LSU had like 120.
That 2014 game was that was not a very good LSU. That was probably Les's worst team. It was Les's worst team, and if you remember, they missed a field goal early in the game, and from that point on, the whole sideline deflated, and Arkansas just ran over LSU. It was freezing cold. They didn't give a shit. Arkansas got the boot. That's when they sprinted across the field to get the boot.
Greatest trophy in sports. I fucking see it, dude.
Nah, it's a giant piece of shit.
Okay. Let's talk about this game a little bit then. Wait. Go back to your original. No, go back to your original point.
Okay.
Which was finish your point about how a lot of the teams in the SEC are still in flux. And we were talking about Fraud Bowl 2.0 coming up this weekend.
Oh, I just said because LSU doesn't have a really interesting game, I think most of our conversation today is going to be about the other teams in the SEC, which are more interesting. Like Florida has a huge opportunity, as does Tennessee. If Tennessee has really gotten to the point where they want to consider themselves an elite contender, then you've got to win at home against Florida. You've got to win this game at home. When I think it's
especially what we know about Florida now.
I think they're a 10-point favorite. Tennessee is you've got to win this game at home. If you lose this game, and Tennessee had a long losing streak to Florida.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
By the way, the break even is Russell's 13. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But that game, it's the 2:30 CBS game, and even some really good Tennessee teams just always had trouble beating Florida. Tennessee is a 10.5-point favorite in that game. Tennessee's got to win that game.
10.5 feels like a lot, but it shows you where the expectation level is at. Yes, 10.5 points at home. Come on, what are we talking about? Let's go, Hoiple.
I think all right, we'll get back to the week in the league. Real quick, if you're watching on YouTube.
Well, I still kind of want to talk about the Mississippi State game.
All right, let me just do a reset real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Please like or subscribe up to the 104.5 ESPN page. Smash the like button. If you're on Facebook, please like the 104.5 ESPN page and share this post if you would. And thank you for watching or listening on demand, of course. However you get your podcast, you can listen to Scone and T. Please subscribe up to the pod. Rate us, leave a review, all that good stuff. We appreciate it greatly. Okay, Mississippi State.
So the thing that I am most encouraged by, Matt, is this feels like a coaching staff that has taken drastic strides in terms of learning their personnel and how to deploy their personnel in a short amount of time, right? I also like that they're willing to tinker. They are not getting stuck into these and I wouldn't blame them if they were, because this is actually where my head was at originally when some of this stuff started happening. They're not getting stuck in these sunken cost fallacies, right? Where they're all camp, we were at Dellengard Center. Like, we spent so much time in that. Like, we got to stay with it. They were like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. I think this thing can be it. Let's put Turner in there. Maybe makes us a better 5. Okay, that looks like it's working.
It's a really hard thing to do, too.
Very hard thing to do. And Charles Turner deserves a lot of credit as well, Matt, because I didn't think physically he could hang, and he was excellent. He was really good in pass pro.
Good.
Now, operationally, still got to clean up a lot, right? All the false starts and everything, but that's...
How easy is that to fix?
It should be on the fixable problems. It should be like at the top of the list,
right?
Because he's making the right calls and he's doing the blocking. Like, that's all the hard shit.
He said Charles Turner was part of the media availability earlier this week, and that was one of the things. Like, how do you fix the false starts? And I'm paraphrasing obviously, but he said something along the lines of, "I just got to trust that everybody." Like, I'm making calls and taking it down to the wire and everything, and, like, we're running out of time. It's like, I just got to trust that guys know what they're doing. I need to trust everybody else.
And that is interesting, because that is actually a function of some of the sunken cost, because you didn't give him the reps with that group that they have out there right now. Like, that group didn't, so they don't have that kind of built-up trust. It'll come with time. But that actually, as far as explanations goes, that makes a lot of sense to me.
I mean, I would say, look, I got asked this question today from a listener who said, have you changed how you feel about LSU since Florida State? And my response was, well, on one hand, no, but I don't think it's the question you're asking. Because, I mean, a lot of the things that popped up against Florida State were things we talked about for months leading up to the season that were potential issues. That all kind of showed up.
Yep.
But what is encouraging is over the 2 weeks, there are things that they have objectively gotten better.
Yes.
Like, they fixed their protection on field goals and PATs. That was something that was obvious. It was a major issue, cost you, in large part a game or an opportunity to win a game. That's been fixed. We could talk about the switch with Jay Ward and Greg Brooks.
Yep.
Like, that's something that they watched.
Well.
They saw that where these guys are more comfortable. They made the switch, and it worked to the tune of Jay Ward being the SEC Defensive Player of the Week.
Jay Ward played like a man
awesome.
fucking possessed. Watching back that film, I started, and I'd be like, oh, who's that? And then at the end of the game, I would see a big play, and I'd be like, oh, that was Jay. And then sure enough, I'd fast forward, and like, yes, that was as dominant a performance as you will find.
So I think what you're seeing right now is the coaching staff, which is still learning its talent, still learning its players, and improving week to week to week. That's not to say that there aren't going to be, potholes. There will be. I mean, there's going to be times where they hit the tripwire and they lose, and it looks bad, and we're probably sitting here and everyone's going, they've regressed and they suck. That's just natural. But I think what you've seen is a product of having a really good coaching staff. That knows how to put a plan together. I mean, I think coming out of fall camp, when we talked about it, one of my big takeaways was I thought the defense was better than maybe I anticipated they would be. And I think Matt House has been even better still than I thought they would be.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because House was one of the kind of disappointing aspects of game one. Now, they got it figured out by the end, which we should have maybe realized was like a trend of what was going to happen. But certainly they were a bit out-schemed. They were able to, like, the same way in which House confused Will Rogers, why am I blanking? Norvell was able to confuse House's Will Rogers, like his linebackers in that first game against Florida State. This game, Matt, they have a running back by committee rotation going at linebacker, and it actually worked. Like, everybody was where they were supposed to be. It was a little Mike Jones, a little West Weeks, a little Harold Perkins, a little Greg Penn. Like, it's very intriguing, and that's what I said. That is the biggest takeaway from this game. It's exactly what you're saying. Is a coaching staff that is willing to tinker, willing to say this is not working, and willing to trust their evaluation going forward as being like, I think this might be the better option. And the key thing to avoid, it's the same thing that coaches want players to avoid. It's okay to make mistakes. What everybody hates is when you make the same mistake twice. And that's why the field goal in game one was so frustrating. It happened every time. But it didn't happen in game 2 or 3, right? So I'm talking game to game here. If there has been an issue, it has gotten fixed. Like, I bet you Gregory Clayton's not going to catch a ball with his heels behind the 10 again.
I don't know if Gregory Clayton's going to be the punt returner.
Well, and then maybe it's it might be the same situation, right? Okay, next man up, right? You mess up, and that could happen as well, absolutely. But my point is, like, for the team, I don't think they'll have that happen again. I don't think you'll have a guy dive the ball again, or at least not ideally. That's when you start to get frustrated, is when you do.
So on Monday, when Brian Kelly met with the media, he kind of gave the explanation of that Gregory Clayton gave him of why he jumped on the ball.
Yes, I heard it. Jake called BS, but I was like, as far as excuses go, I feel like it's pretty solid.
So,
and I could see him really thinking that at the time.
Brian Kelly was asked about it, and he says, this was on Monday at the press conference, and Brian Kelly said, Clayton's coming to the sidelines. He goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Clayton's explanation was he thought the ball hit an LSU player, which is teetotal shit, bro. It's like, that is like a kid lying to their parents when the parent knows. I have a buddy whose daughter hid his other daughter's shoe, and so didn't have it for school. Yeah. And like, nobody could find the shoe. The kid forgot that she'd hit it, honestly. Yeah. And so like, they got home, and it was like, all right, we got to split up in this house. We got to find the shoe. And like 2 seconds later, the shoe popped up. So it was clearly like she remembered where it was. It's like, oh yeah, I just happened to look in this box under the bed with all the stuff on top of it. Like, and you don't know how it got there? No, I don't know how it got. Like, well, what do you say? You can't prove it in that moment, but like, the kid's lying to you, right?
He thought it hit an LSU player, dude. I don't know.
It did not hit. Like, there was like 6 Mississippi State players around him. It bounces and then rolls. Like,
you got to understand
that's so fucking stupid. Like,
he thought he had a better angle than the Mississippi State kids did. All I'm saying is, in a court of law, that's why Kelly had to back down. That's why Kelly had to back down in a court of law. It's plausible deniability. Because he didn't say.
That's fine. He
didn't say like, oh, I don't know, coach. No, he gave the only out that would get him out.
Anyway.
Which is that he thought he had an angle that hit an LSU player. Coach, I swear I saw it. I'm telling you, man.
Absolutely.
Clear as day.
No way even came close to hitting anybody at all.
Okay, so you and Hester agree then.
Oh, dude, go back and watch it.
I watched it, dude. Look, I'm a defense attorney, okay?
No way,
I'm a defense attorney. From his angle.
I mean,
from his angle, I could see what he was thinking because somebody was right by from his angle. The ball lined up on the y-axis with him, dude. I'm telling you.
No, that's
yes, dude.
Oh, God.
Gregory Clayton. But the point of all of this is, like you said, man, they have fixed
Buzzards roost
the mistakes that have been made, so allow them to do the same for the mistakes in this game. But no, I mean, I enter this. I mean, I exit this game just feeling so much better about the staff, about the players. Sure. I mean, it's hard not to get in, and you know what? I know I'm being reactive here, right? But isn't that kind of what this is all about? Is really enjoying each. Like, we have no greater expectations. We have no greater expectations. So like Matt said, we can really dive into this stuff on a result-by-result basis and live or die with it, and it doesn't really matter that much. And also, that's what sports are fun, so maybe you should. And we're drinking here, so it's like, I don't feel bad about saying this, but I've been loving fantasizing all 3 years, or this week, about what Jones, Campbell, and Perkins look like in 2 years. Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, they were so strong in this game, dude.
You can see the benefit of having a veteran team of top-tier recruiting classes.
Yes.
That's what LSU had become accustomed to, and is not anymore. You're a team built of transfers from McNeese and UTSA and FIU and East Tennessee, and, like, you're just not what you were. You're just not on a talent level. So, Michael Johnson said it's hard to believe Clayton is the best option at punt return with all the athletes we have. It's not that. It's that he's sure-handed and would catch the ball.
Yeah,
Your issue, you had Malik Neighbors back there. He couldn't catch the ball. You have to catch the ball. So they put a guy back there who can catch.
Well, and I did hear something interesting theory about our old 1045 intern, Nick Diaz, has a YouTube channel now. And he had a tweet, and then we even talked about it on his show today that I thought was pretty intriguing, where it was like, maybe some of the special teams struggle are a function of that roster that you're talking about. Because this is not, a Georgia or Alabama where all your special teamers are like leftover 4 stars who aren't ready for the field quite yet. And so, yeah, you are kind of pulling and choosing from some guys that if you were where you wanted to be recruiting, that maybe wouldn't be in there. It's just an interesting theory. I don't know.
On the 88-yard return, I don't know if the holding was the guy who was blocking Greg Penn, but the ball carrier went right past Greg Penn. That's the guy who was starting linebacker and a highly touted dude.
Yeah.
Like, make the tackle.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I just thought it was interesting. I don't know if it's correct or not. I do know, though, that the best teams that I've been a part of are when you have, like, elite, whatever, it doesn't matter. You just have beast athletes, like a Ron Brooks. Like,
the teams you
like
were on,
badass,
and Ron Brooks played what? Almost
in the league doing that.
For the Bills, and was found a spot as a nickel corner, was awesome. But yes, Ron Brooks was a highly touted dude that could never play on the outside because it was fucking Patrick Peterson and Morris Claiborne and Tyrann Mathieu, and it's like, well, where's Ron Brooks fit? Oh, yeah, he's just the other awesome dude who's playing in nickel package.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about there.
Of course.
Even though the best special teamer is Emory Jones. As evidenced by that incredible open field tackle.
What do you think we teach at Catholic High? You better be an all-around player.
I mean, did you come out of Catholic High, bitch? Because now I'm very confused. I don't understand. It's like, what? Like a one-hand joke?
I wasn't 6'6", 320, and could move like a gazelle.
Again, that is the thing about Emory that was exciting, is how he manipulates that weight. First off, his body is not sloppy at all, especially for a freshman. But he looked so composed in his pass set, and he didn't look freaked out when he would get in space. And that's the scariest thing for no lineman, is being on that island. Even though I got to say, Matt, I don't think Mississippi State's pass rushers are as good as the PFF grade said or anything. Like, maybe I'm wrong. In my film watching, I told you all I wasn't overly impressed when they were big. I didn't think they were, like, very twitchy. But it doesn't matter. You know what I did notice, though, Matt, is a huge ancillary benefit of Jaden Daniels' running ability is the defense having to maintain disciplined pass rush lanes. Like, the defensive ends couldn't get crazy on these freshman tackles. They couldn't hit him with all the up and under stuff, the inside spins. So when they tried, I was really impressed with a couple Jones and Campbell redirects on spins. But they couldn't really do that, Matt. You could tell they were being really cognizant of, okay, I got to rush straight down his chest. I got to be worried about maintaining the pocket so Emory can't get outside me. And when you have two freshman tackles, that's huge. Like, that's just another reason why, in the context of this offense, Jaden Daniels makes so much sense.
If there's one thing this week that I'm really looking forward to, it's to see how they use Jack Besh. I think every week it's kind of a progression. And, Jack really didn't play much in the opener. He caught the touchdown against Southern. We saw him a bit more. And then last week he had, I think, one target. He had a target, at least that I charted. He had a target on the opening drive on the third down that was incomplete when LSU punted. But Brian Kelly on the SEC teleconference Wednesday actually talked about getting Besh involved the way he talked about Booty after Florida State, where he said, we've got to get him the ball. Like, that's what he said.
Was he asked about Besh, or did he say this of his own volition?
He was asked about Besh, and he said, we as coaches need to be intentional about getting him the ball, and you're going to see that this week. Like, he made a very declarative statement. And then,
they just have so much talent.
He said that's what he said. He said it's a position group where we have so many. I think there may be guys that are capable. However he said it, and it's on us to make sure we're using a very thoughtful rotation to get everybody in that deserves playing time. And Besh is in that number for sure. And Kelly also was adamant, like, this isn't an injury thing anymore. Like, it's like the injury slowed him in fall camp. We know that.
Yeah.
But he said that's not it anymore. So, we against Southern, the first play of the game, they ran the 5-yard out to Kayshawn. Within the first two possessions, we saw that 5-yard out. We saw him throw deep to him. They ran the jet sweep, and they ran the shovel pass on the sweeping motion, right? They used it was a whole bunch of ways to intentionally get him the ball. These were plays for him.
And though, put some interesting things on film at the same time, right? Like the Jaden Daniels draw was that jet sweep fake to Kayshawn, and then and then Jaden Daniels throwing his shoulder like he's going to hit him with a quick hitter, then going upfield. So, yeah, it can serve a dual benefit for sure.
So I'm curious, all right, if you're going to be very intentional about getting the ball to Jack Besh, how does that look? That's really what I want to see this week is how do you get Besh involved like that offensively? Because, man, you know, look, Neighbors is your leading receiver. You know Booty's awesome. Jeray Jenkins has been so clutch. You had another guy that
Brian Thomas Jr. looks really good.
Every time they throw him the ball, he makes
something
plays.
happen, dude.
So.
He breaks the first tackle every time. No, I mean, I'm not really, and I don't mean this to be harsh, because I'm not worried about any of the wide receiver stats. I'm not really worried about Jack Besh getting numbers. And it's not because, again, it's nothing against Jack. What I'm saying is I think this is an offense that is never going to have massive wide receiver production, or if they're going to get there, they have to kind of figure out what that's like. Like, I did really like into the first half, all throughout the second half, they were really good about giving Jaden a lot of quick decisions, like wide receiver screens, quick outs, swing passes out of the backfield. A couple that he missed to Cole Taylor, certainly. And so...
It was one of those, I'm curious, McElroy said on the broadcast that one of the ones to Taylor, the one when he was coming across the formation, that Daniels was expecting, and he threw it kind of behind him.
Oh,
that
he's
Daniels
expecting to
sit right in that spot. So I'm curious.
As a freshman, that can make complete sense.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where it's like, all right, is that on?
Yeah.
Like, was it a bad throw, or was it just a miscommunication, or was he expecting him just to sit in the middle of the field?
And so, again, though, but just in the context of Jaden Daniels, who he is this year, who, again, is the best option if you want to win games, and he's a gamer. Like, let's not disrespect Jaden Daniels. When the pressure has been the highest, he has made his most plays. Right? The 3rd and 7 draw touchdown, had to have it to take the lead. 4th and 3, he had just missed 2 deep balls up the sideline. What'd he do on 4th and 3? He said, fuck it. I got Neighbors one-on-one. I can make this fucking throw. Dropped it in. Neighbors rewards a trust first down. So, like, Jaden Daniels is your guy. All I'm saying is I don't think it's going to produce overwhelming wide receiver numbers. So I don't give a fuck about anybody getting their reps or their stats. I just need everybody to focus on fucking winning and doing whatever your job is, and trusting that whatever you want to do later in life, or you have another year or you have another, like this offense is what it is, and just trust that if you're good enough to go to the next level, whatever, like, your talent will speak for itself. That is happening to plenty of receivers at LSU.
So, that's true. But I also think that for this team in particular, as we've talked about progressions, right? We've talked about, okay, well, the offensive line looks like they're getting better. The defense has found some things. Like, I think Mike Denbrock is also learning
100%,
these guys.
yes.
So my point is, though, I think you're going to see more timing, comfort, continuity with Daniels and these receivers, and you're going to see the passing numbers come.
I agree. I'm just saying they're never going to be overwhelming. Like, there's not going to be enough to go around.
So Joe Burrow in 2018, I bring this up all the time, so if you've heard it, sorry.
No, I haven't. I was laughing. I thought you were going to say 2019 when we had like 3,000-yard receivers.
No. So in 2018,
that was the Justin Jefferson year.
Joe Burrow in 2018 did not throw a touchdown pass in the entire month of October.
You do CFB stats.
I'm looking at it right here.
No, I know, but I'm saying CFB stats is quicker. Anyway.
So Joe Burrow, in the entire month of October in 2018, did not throw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, he was figuring it out.
It was awful. So here was your but you didn't play terribly. You lost to Florida. He had the 2 interceptions. They beat the shit out of Georgia. Brissett and Clyde both had good days. They beat State 19-3, like in the rain when Tracy kept making field goals. But Joe Burrow didn't throw a touchdown against Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, or Bama. I mean, he went from the 3 touchdowns against Ole Miss without throwing a touchdown for 4 games and the bye before he finally threw one against Arkansas. He went 6 weeks without a touchdown pass.
Fucking so wild.
It's Joe
what
Burrow.
happened the next year.
But then look at what happened at the end of the season. He threw for 307 against Rice. They went to A&M. They played the 7 overtime game, and he threw 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Then in the bowl game against UCF, he threw for 394 and 4 scores.
Like, awesome.
He figured it out. Like, the timing, by the time you got past Bama in November, like, it worked. Even against Bama, I mean, they threw it a ton, and it wasn't a great game that day. I mean, they lost. They got shut out.
So I get your overall point.
But
like, the actual potential for improvement.
Yes, you're going to.
It can be massive.
You will see. I'll put it to you this way. You will, if you look at the final 3 games of the season, if we come back and look at the final 3 games against UAB, Arkansas and Texas A&M, my guess is those will be statistically Jaden Daniels' best passing games of the season.
Well, also, yes, because Arkansas is the worst pass defense in the country, and Texas A&M defense, I don't think gives anything to write home about. Though I don't know how I love the D-line from a matchup standpoint. Though they're not that good, but they look like they should be. I don't know, man. I got to figure out A&M.
Even Mettenberger. Remember Mettenberger in 2013? It was in 2012.
Yeah,
it was the same thing in the Yeldon game.
Except for the Alabama game. That was the only game they got stats.
No, but that's when it started. But then look at the rest of that season.
Oh, okay.
It started there, and then he built, and then 2013 was the fucking avalanche. That's why you'd love to maybe see another year of Daniels, but he's not coming back for another year. Who was the
second leading receiver in 2018? He had the same amount of catches as Jamar Chase, but more yards.
As Jamar Chase?
Yes, in 2018. 2018, Jamar Chase was third on the team.
He was a freshman. He had an awesome, but he missed a bunch of games, and he was awesome when he was on the field. He just wasn't on the field at the time.
Well, but he even had less yards. This is a 13 game. Whatever though. Number 1 was Justin Jefferson. 3 is Jamar Chase. Who was the second leading receiver
in 2018?
Yeah. I would have never guessed this.
Was it a wide receiver?
Kind of. Stephon Sullivan.
So he played tight end.
Who I think is still in the league, right?
So he played tight end. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But the reason why I bring this up is because that year Jefferson had 875, then Sullivan had 363, Jamar 313, Derek Dillon 3, D. Anderson 270, Foster 270,
Dillon
Terrace 190. So
yeah,
that
Dillon
feels
had the big play against Auburn, the 70-yarder against Auburn.
Yes, but that feels to me like
this year
the receiver spread that you could see statistically. It's you're not going to have
an 80 catch season.
No.
You're not going to have.
Think so.
You're not going to have 50. You're not going to have a 1,000-yard receiver.
But that was an effective team that went 10-3 and won a big time bowl game. And honestly, should have had the potential to go 11-2. A bit of a bad beat in the A&M game.
But the flip side of that, and people say that but the flip side of that is you did get fortuitous breaks against Auburn. Cole Tracy made the kick.
Oh yeah.
You had the 70-yarder from Dillon.
That's why.
And then on the field goal, you had 2 15-yard PI calls. They gave you 30 yards of.
Well, yeah, and you play. You play in a better bowl game if you have 11 wins.
Look,
so yeah, it's all
you
kind
play.
of shit.
You play that game of we could have won. There's the opposite is also true.
Look at this year, right?
Yes.
You benefited, or no, you got screwed that game because they didn't call Kellen Mond down, even though with the possession, the review or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, they did call him down. They did call him down, but the clock didn't keep running. If the clock kept running live, they would have lost the game. Etc. Well, this year, if they had called Cole Taylor down, which was the correct call, you would have never even gotten to the extra point against Florida State. So the gods give it, and they take it away.
For a first down.
How much time was left?
So you could have clocked it. You would have had time to clock it.
Oh, you would have had time to clock it? Oh, okay, never mind then.
You still would have had to run another play, but you would have had time to
I
clock
thought you had 1 second. You had 1 second on the clock. The only reason they were able to clock it, I thought, or no, maybe it was 2.
But, no, you would have had time, I think.
Yeah. It would have been, I'm not saying it's a 100% guarantee they would have pulled off the operation.
The point is, the clock would have stopped because of the first down. They would have been right on the ball and clocked it. So you have to have 2 seconds to clock it, but.
That's what I'm saying. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is,
as we learned at Ole Miss in 2009, you can't clock it with 1 second left on the clock
and take it away. Yes. All right. What are we looking for next? Other thoughts on the game? I don't think I have. I think I'm pretty much said.
What do you want to see this week? Let's do that real quick. Then we'll look at the league this week.
Okay. So as much as I waxed
we'll go a few minutes past 8 because we started a little late.
As much as I waxed very positively about the offensive line, right guard is still an issue that needs to be figured out. Miles Frazier was okay this game, but it does look like he's kind of playing over his toes a bit. And look, I say this as someone who I know playing over his toes because I played over my toes, so I get it. And I want to see, because no, you're good. I want to see Anthony Bradford this weekend, because if he's healthy again, which was a health issue last week, if he is healthy again, I think that may actually finally be your final 5.
I think that's red beans and rice, and it's got great spice.
Oh, it is red beans and rice. Is it gumbo? No.
That's red beans and rice. It's got some really good spice to it.
Oh, it looks like I got gumbo. Did you get red beans?
No, it's gumbo. My bad. There's just maybe a bean in there.
Wait, okay, so I should talk about this, though, real quick. The cocktail that I'm drinking tonight is the Papaya Killer. And it is, oh man, I got water. It is El Dorado aged rum, white chocolate liqueur, banana liqueur, house-made papaya cordial. But I want to talk about the house-made papaya cordial because, Matt, I'm a very, like we talked about the party palette bit last week, I'm a very lazy drinker, right?
Yes.
Like I just dump liquor in a glass and just drink it. I've never really experienced craft cocktails before we started doing the show. Oliver Twist has incredible.
They do. They're fantastic.
Craft cocktails. So I get these new little treats every week, and this is what's fun about them. So the bartender, Tim Griffin, he spent 4 days making this papaya syrup, like ripening it to the exact moment that it needs to be. Spent 4 days crafting the syrup to now make the cocktail that I'm drinking. And look, I'm a believer in the culinary arts as well as any other avenue in life. Effort shows, right? The more effort you put in, a lot of times, the better product you're going to get out. This shit is fucking delicious. And so, like, if you're thinking about coming to Oliver Twist, you want to have some craft cocktails, maybe you're like me, you never really tried that shit, dude. I'm being very genuine right here. It sounds like I'm doing an ad read, but, like, I mean this genuinely. Like,
it's a great place.
This is very fun, and this is very tasty.
It's one of the reasons I loved coming here. I mean, when we had the opportunity to do this is... I mean, obviously, with all the whiskey, you can find pretty much anything you want here, which is awesome.
And, like,
it's great.
Once you get over 30, gastrointestinal health becomes a thing. Maybe you get a colonoscopy because you've convinced yourself that you have, like, butt cancer, but you don't at all. And the doctor just tells you should probably lose weight, that it's all in your head. But you know what happens if you eat papaya enzymes? That doesn't happen. Papaya enzymes help with digestion. And so I'm assuming that this is really going to help my gastrointestine.
Did you make up that shit about the papayas?
No, I eat papaya enzymes all the time to help digest food. They're great. I have these little pills. Eat them after a big meal.
All right, let's look at the week ahead in the SEC. Anything else you're looking forward to against New Mexico State? Offensive
right
line,
guard.
I want to see Jack Besh.
I want to see right guard.
Please stay healthy.
Hey, Damian Ramos has been good. As a side note.
Oh, how about this? Stop kicking the fucking ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
And squibbing it to the left side.
Yeah.
So,
if you make your field goals, I'll take that. But yeah.
But this is interesting because Brian Kelly did say, look, the way that Damian Ramos is kicking off right now is like a line drive. So it's
that's what caused the returns.
So it's returnable. So that is why they were angling to the sideline. So you don't line drive. So remember, this is what Les used to want to do.
This is a classic Les Miles. He wanted air, and he wanted to drop it to 1 so he could get you inside the 20.
Les wanted, because you couldn't fair catch at that time inside the 20. So he wanted, this was a Les thing. He wanted a high kick that did not go into the end zone, so you couldn't fair catch it.
Yep.
And it landed between the 5 and the goal line, and he wanted it angled so it was in a quarter of the field, right? You cut the field in quarters, right? So So like all the defenders, all the kickoff coverage are just converging on a corner instead of defending the whole field.
Yep.
So he wanted a very specifically placed ball. And infamously, Cameron Gamble could never fucking kick the ball into that spot. So he just kept kicking it out of bounds over and over again. It's like if you're a golfer and you have your wedge and you need it to go 100 and you go 94.
It
rolls off the front of the green. It's like, no. It's got to go 100.
Unless you have the guy, and now rule changes as well, right? Because you can fair catch, so it doesn't matter. But
yes,
it is a classic example of where maybe being a little greedy can go wrong. Because it's easier to find a guy who can just kick it out the back of the end zone. It's not easy, but it is easier. And so the point is you're trying to save those extra, 4 or 5 yards. And let's be honest, everybody fucking gets hyped when a kick returner gets tackled at the 10. You're like, oh, yeah, you fucking idiot. You should have never returned it. Oh. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's so much simpler, so headache-free if you can just, like Avery Atkins did for years.
The game has been designed to eliminate kick returns.
Yeah.
They don't want kick returns. They're basically begging you to fair catch so there's no collisions.
Yes.
You can fair catch inside the 20 just to avoid a collision. Just do the thing that the game is set up to do right now. Make him go 75 yards against your defense.
Ask Scone and T. What's the third most intriguing? Are we doing Ask Scone and T? Oh no, look around the conference. Let's do it.
Why do I keep bringing you all cocktails and I never get one?
You want to try papaya? It'll help with your gastrointestinal.
I do want to try it.
I find it to be very refreshing.
It is very refreshing. It's a very refreshing drink. So my great...
Probably 2. I'm probably saying, actually, but that's the thing with most craft cocktails is you really want 1.
So my great-great-grandfather, so my grandfather, who's 90, his grandfather was a mixologist and a cab driver in New Orleans in like the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Whoa, what the fuck?
He would go to work he would wear like the shirt and the vest and the garter and stuff. So like his thing was creating craft cocktails and stuff like that.
When Prohibition rolled around, he's probably like, what the fuck, dude?
Can you imagine?
What? I've literally, my adult life is making drinks, you fucking assholes. And now what? You're making alcohol legal? What? We're a port city. What are we talking about, you fucking nerds? Get out of here. Like, can you fathom that? Oh, sorry, guys. Alcohol's illegal now. Fuck it, dude. This teetotaler union was very powerful. No, get the fuck out of here.
That's why I'm bullish on old fashions, because it's like, or I'm very particular, because as long as I've been able to drink, we've had like my Gramps' old fashions, like so that's just to me how it's supposed to taste.
Oh wow! So he made you like the recipe got passed down.
Yeah.
Oh,
it makes sense.
Wow,
so I just know that's how it's supposed. That's how I think it's supposed to taste.
Fuck,
but if you go to a bar, every bartender can put their own. I mean, you go anywhere, you have like a walnut old fashioned or whatever. I mean, people will put their different twists on an old fashioned.
Yeah.
So like it's the difference with like a Sazerac cocktail, which there is a recipe. Like it is the official cocktail of the state of Louisiana. Like
the Sazerac Old-Fashioned is?
No, the Sazerac cocktail.
Oh, really?
The Sazerac cocktail,
yes, yeah, duh.
So like,
I'm being fucking idiot.
Yeah,
Sazerac's kind of like an Old-Fashioned, but
it's similar. I mean, it's a whiskey cocktail.
But it is a New Orleans ass drink.
Yeah, with herb saint. It's but you can't fuck that up. Like or you can fuck it up, but like you can't alter the recipe. Like to be a Sazerac cocktail, it is done a certain way.
Yes.
But an old fashioned, people have put their own twist on it forever.
I mean, the days of mixology in the late 1800s, 1900s,
How about that?
That's like getting some fucking badass, like, medicine man recipe, some ancient tribal secrets handed down to you from the ancestors of yore. Like, that's the kind of drink I'm trying to drink, dude. Sounds great. Fonzarelli. All right, let's go around the league.
All right, Georgia plays Kent State. Who cares? Missouri is at Auburn. If Auburn loses to Missouri, Brian Harsin will get fired.
100%, because Mizzou's looked like shit, right?
Missouri's 2-1. But yes, they.
Oh, they're 2-1.
But
I thought they were 1-2.
No, well, they got housed by Kansas State. So they beat Louisiana Tech and Abilene Christian, but they got housed by Kansas State 40-12.
Yeah.
So if Auburn,
shout out Tulane. Tulane just fucking took care of Kansas State 17-10.
And TJ Finley's injured, he's not likely to play in this game. So they're either going to find something with Robbie Ashford or Zach Calzada.
Robbie Ashford.
Or your boy's fired. Mississippi State hosts Bowling Green. The big one at 2:30 is Tennessee hosting Florida. Every week we've been here, I've picked an upset. I picked Florida to beat Utah.
Yeah.
I guess technically it wasn't an upset. I picked A&M to beat Miami.
I've got my upset, but it's not in the SEC. Rutgers.
Okay.
Rutgers. Who are they playing host to? They're playing host to
It's your upset, but you don't even know who they're playing.
No, fuck you, bitch. Okay, it makes sense when you hear who they're playing.
It's your fucking upset.
They're 7.5-point dogs. I remember everything. They're at home. They're 7.5-point dogs.
It's your fucking upset.
Home dogs.
And you're calling me a bitch. How about you know what fucking upset you're trying to call?
Dude. What upset are you trying to call?
They're playing Ohio State.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They're
Iowa. Thank you. Yeah.
Me,
fuck yeah. Fuck Iowa, dude. Are you kidding me?
Wisconsin plays Ohio State.
I was cursed, dude. Iowa can't. Do you know when Iowa finally scored a touchdown, the football gods sent a lightning storm to fuck their fans, and they had to watch that game for 10 hours. You've been waiting for a touchdown all year long. You finally get it. It's a bad vibe. I'm telling you, dude. Rutgers, smash the money line. Rutgers, upset of the week. Easy money, folks.
All right, Florida is at Tennessee. You going to pull the upset? You going to call the upset?
I feel obviously very uncomfortable playing Tennessee minus 10.5. I'm not willing to. Okay, no. That's what we do in the segment. We make a call. So, I'm not going money line. I will say, no, fuck it, dude. I'm rolling with Heupel, -10.5, dude. Fuck it. I am going to do it, dude. I changed my mind. I'm going with Tennessee. Let's fucking go, boys. Heupel loves hookers. Ability to throw the ball deep. Never forget.
I'll remind you that I did make a money line play on Florida against Utah.
Yep.
I do believe Anthony Richardson is the perfect quarterback for Billy Napier's system.
Yep.
I do think Tennessee is going to be so, clenched butthole nervous because they've not played in a game this important there in forever.
Yeah.
And Tennessee wins.
Do they cover?
I don't know. Don't really care.
Okay, so we're not choosing covering. Okay, then yeah, I think Tennessee wins.
Okay. Ole Miss against Tulsa. Tulsa can score. Tulsa can score a fuckload. That's going to be a big challenge for Ole Miss's defense. Ole Miss is going to win. That's going to be a big challenge for Ole Miss's defense.
Dustin Blanchard says T's on the hype train. Get it?
A hype train. Get it. Kentucky plays Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois has an eighth-year senior, first ever.
Charlotte plays South Carolina. Vanderbilt is at Alabama. It's a 40.5-point spread. And Arkansas against Texas A&M in Gerald World.
So we got two games that matter this week.
Yes. What do you think about Arkansas, Texas A&M?
So I actually watched a bunch of A&M Miami film today to try to figure out how I feel about A&M, and I want to preface this by saying I'm remaining open to changing this call, and that if I change it by the weekend, then I will never claim to be right in whatever I answer right now. I will only claim to be right if I answer consistently throughout from this moment on. I think Texas A&M wins.
What's the matter?
I don't like saying it.
Why?
Because the amount to which I like the Arkansas fan base, team, and coach over the A&M fan base, team, and coach, except for Billy Lucci, shout out my dog, is drastic. I know it didn't look good, kind of, but
it's funny that you like.
I like Max Johnson.
It's funny that you like Lucci, and fans think Lucci is the biggest A&M homer of all of them.
Yeah, but he's awesome. He's such a great dude.
I mean, he is both of those things, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a home. Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah,
and he happens to be
I'm
awesome.
an LSU homer. I'm like, they're going to go 8-4. And then after week 1, I'm like, fuck, I don't actually know, guys. So they're going to go 8-4. I'm like, I placed the biggest bet of my life to be LSU beat Florida State. And I'm like, fuck, I lost the biggest bet of my life. LSU versus
A&M beat Arkansas 9 straight when they came into the league until last year. And I went to look this up. 3 out of 4 went to overtime in Arlington. 2014,
I thought they haven't
17.
been trading blows in Arlington.
No, the problem is Arkansas under Bielema would shit their pants every year. They'd have a lead and they'd fuck it up.
Yeah.
And A&M just always beat them.
Yeah.
So, A&M's going to win this game. A&M's going to win this game in Arlington. Their defense is good. Arkansas's offense is not. They're just a plodding, methodical offense with KJ Jefferson. And A&M's defense is a see-ball, hit-ball defense, and they're built to stop this offense.
Okay.
And, as you noted, Arkansas's pass defense has been vulnerable, and Max Johnson
I like Max.
I
like Max way better than
A&M is going to beat the Arkan-Frauds.
The only thing that's holding me back from joining you in this full deep-throated support that you seem very practiced at, you're very good at deep-throating.
I'm just telling you that Arkansas is going to win the game.
I'm just saying,
that A&M is going to win the game.
Gag reflex. Let me test it. No, so what I'm saying though is that I think that the only thing I maybe disagree with is A&M's defense should be better than they actually are. You can see it. They have fucking athletes. They're huge on the D-line. They make big plays, but they also kind of fuck up a lot of shit. So, I don't really know what to make of them. Like Miami got 27 first downs and scored 0 touchdowns. They're the first team since 2000 to get 27 first downs and score 0 touchdowns. And it's a couple times early on, they're driving, they miss a field goal. I don't know.
Mike Elko was a big loss. Look at how good Mike.
Yes, I agree.
So Mike Elko was A&M's defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach at Duke. who, by the way, Brian Kelly hired at Notre Dame.
Hey, big weekend. Big weekend for Duke and Kansas, boys.
Big.
Up there in Kansas, rock chalk.
Huge weekend. Don't give a shit. All right, go to questions. Go to questions.
Questions. Okay, let me see. I think I have a couple in the document, but I have not been logging the whole time, guys. I apologize. So go ahead and put your Ask Scone and T questions in right now. Excuse me. T-Bob Raybear, hashtag Ask Scone and T. If LSU beats New Mexico State and Auburn, and if Tennessee beats UF, and then if A&M loses to Arkansas and possibly Mississippi State, could LSU versus Tennessee get the night CBS game instead of A&M and Bama?
No.
No chance, I don't think. But I do like all the hoops that T-Bob Raybear was willing to jump through there. Fonzarelli asks Go to T, with Denbrock being as experienced as he is, how long before he stopped coming out in the first quarter trying to run 7-step drop routes and get the quicker routes to build rhythm?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get the implication there, and it's a fair implication because both games you seem to have started to both call better plays and execute better on those plays, so obviously you would hope that you would come out a little more. I kind of
disagree because whenever you look at the first drive that LSU had this past week, they put together 2 first downs. It was 2 false start penalties, which put you behind the sticks and fucked you. So, like, you were moving the football.
And to be
against
fair,
Southern, the first play of the game was Kayshawn in the right flat, a quick out. I mean, like, that's just not accurate. Sometimes, your mind's eye thinks you're seeing certain things to validate your opinion, but I mean, I'll go pull. I can pull up the play chart.
I don't think you're wrong, Matt. Because actually, one of my big
got my fucking
takeaways,
notes, bro. Hang on.
One of my big takeaways from this last game was I was very surprised that even when LSU was struggling, they were blocking well. So penalties being the problem does make sense.
So first play of the game, they ran Armani Goodwin. Second play, they found Booty on a quick route for 18 yards. So you're wrong. They get the first down. It's a false start. 1st and 15, Jaden Daniels scrambles for 12 yards. Armani Goodwin runs and gets the first down. First down, false start again. 1st and 15, they went deep to Kayshawn incomplete. I'm sorry, first down incomplete, second down deep to Kayshawn incomplete. 3rd and 15, they burned the timeout. They threw an incomplete pass to Besh over the middle. None of those were 7-step drops.
So So to your point, the O-line actually played. Well, ironically, the O-line actually played pretty damn well in the first half as well,
except for the
penalties,
the bungled false starts and shit.
But I mean, like, in terms of actual blocking. As Scone and T, Randall Alfred wants to know how good will Walker Howard be next season? I mean, I don't know that Walker's going to win the job. I think, maybe he does. We'll see. I'm not willing to say that quite yet. I do think, what helps? I will say this, man. You know what helps quarterback development? Having 2 badass tackles.
Yeah, good offensive line and a running game.
You might have 2 fucking badass tackles.
And Garrett Dellinger.
Yes, dude.
And Bradford.
But it's just that tackles are so rare.
And Charles Turner's a 5th-year player. I mean, your offensive line should be really good next year.
Yeah.
By the way, I am curious. I'll put this out there. I am curious if/when LSU gets up big on New Mexico this weekend, if maybe we don't see Walker Howard first off the bench this time. I'd be curious to see. They may give him some run.
Feels like you're speaking with somebody that has told you something, but
I'm not telling you that anybody's told me anything.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, did someone though? Because it feels like one of those coded shots where it's like, I'm going to make this call, but it's like I maybe have a little something.
Kind of like last week when I told you I wouldn't be surprised if Emory Jones started at right tackle.
Yes, literally, exactly like
but
that.
I knew he was starting at right tackle.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally exactly what I'm saying.
This is not that.
Okay.
But here's what I'll say. I think the issues that Garrett showed against Southern have persisted, if not even gotten worse. And I think there's a legit question about. By the way, there is no question about who. Garrett is never starting this year unless there's an injury. So you need to purge that if that's in your head. So I think it's kind of a question of. Do you run him out there, get him some confidence, whatever, or do you say, hey, let's see what the kid's got? And I think that's I'm telling you, I don't know.
It's a legitimate conversation.
But I think it's something that this staff is going to have to decide. That I will tell you, I think
rigors of college football, of NFL football, is if every coach and if you're in the NFL front office person is doing their job. They are literally supposed to replace you with someone better. It's a fucking brutal business, but it's the reality of the situation.
But this isn't the NFL. It's college, and you're allowed to develop. And guys can get better, and that's allowed and happens.
That's kind of the point. There doesn't matter if it's college or the NFL. Like, I feel you that I can see easily what the argument is to be like, oh, give the young guy a shot, because like.
But I think it's also because Walker's been impressive, and Garrett.
No, exactly. If he just fucking
Garrett doesn't protect the ball, and that was a problem last year. It was a problem in the spring. It was a problem in fall camp. It was a problem against Southern, and it continues to be a problem. So, like, if you're not going to value the football, it's hard to justify playing somebody.
But exactly, but that is also kind of the point, right? Because the person who does versus the person who doesn't is generally the one who just objectively ends up being the choice in the end anyway. Money. Jordan Hayden wants to know, is the Mountain West's own New Mexico, not New Mexico State?
What did he ask?
I don't. It was very confusing. I read out the hashtag verbatim, money. And I don't really understand the rest of the question, to be honest. Ask Scone T, give me one good college football bet for this weekend.
I will give you there's a couple of games I've already played for the week that
I don't think I've actually played anything yet.
So
no. USC minus 6.5 Oregon State. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck about anything you or Jake or anybody's about to tell me. USC minus 6.5 without this offense is humming. I don't give a fuck that they're in Corvallis. I think USC is absolutely going to win by at least 7. I think USC is in a potential mini 2019 LSU cycle where Vegas keeps fading them due to their kind of previous reputation and not acknowledging the reality of who they are.
I played 2 games already that I think the lines will move. I took Stanford plus 14 at Washington. Washington coming off a very emotional win, obvious letdown spot. Stanford, you can look at the final score against USC, but they fumbled twice inside the 10-yard line.
USC has actually had ridiculous turnover luck this year. That is a fair point.
This, again, like I had Stanford in that game against USC, and they had 2 turnovers inside the 10. Anyway, Stanford did. So that should have been closer than it was, but they fumbled.
Yeah,
anyway,
but if Stanford had scored, you know what USC would have done? Scored
probably
more.
But anyway, so he asked for picks. I'm giving you some fucking picks.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Stanford plus 14
pick,
and Wisconsin plus 18 at Ohio State. I think Ohio State right now does have some legitimate offensive issues.
I mean, surely they're not just going to beat up on Wisconsin that badly. I like that pick. I haven't thought about that before.
Wisconsin plus 18. And those are lines that I think move. So the later in the week, you're probably going to see those. I think those numbers come down as more like sharp money comes in on those games. So I don't. Let me check.
Last week was the first time where I really felt like a line was going to move. And it did, and that was Washington minus 3.5 against Michigan State. It just had trap written all over it.
So I got to tell you this.
And then this week, I don't know. I might be getting trapped by the USC minus 6.5 because it feels like a sketchily small number. But I'm rolling with it anyway.
It's a stinky line. I wouldn't touch it. But but you can have your shitty bet.
Hey, by the way, Rutgers money line as well, dude. Let's fucking roll, dude.
So Phil Steele, who comes on AFR on Fridays, in the summer had the Washington Michigan State line as Washington 7.
Oh, look at Philly boy.
How about that? Dude, like, I'm going to tell you this. If you are a sports bettor, to each their own, I would highly, highly, highly recommend when you get Phil's magazine, look at his most improved teams every year and bet their win total over. Because it is just fucking money in the bank. Just
really,
it's a rare.
Wow, thanks, Matt, for telling us all before the season. I tell you this every year. Did you tell me?
When Phil's on AFR,
you never told me.
It's money in the bank. Like whatever his most improved teams are, just bet their win total over. He's money in the bank.
So done with you, dude. I had a third kid to pay for this Christmas. You don't even tell me this shit before fucking September 15th.
I'm getting you paid to be here.
What day is it today?
I'm getting you paid for whiskey and wine.
What day is it today?
Come on, I'm helping you.
Okay, chill out.
Yeah,
this
right?
is a co-creation. And whiskey and wine was my idea, and you fucks took it, okay? So, fuck you.
Who got you paid?
Yeah, you did get
At both.
paid. My dog.
Yeah, right.
There we go.
All right, more questions.
Ask Scone and T, should the Saints sit Jameis for the next 2 weeks to get healthy and let Dalton get some run?
Shit. I played Wisconsin at 18. It's up to 19. Fuck.
Oh.
So go play it now. I thought it would go the other way.
I don't think I'd want to fly to London with a broken back, man. I got to read the Matty Hudak article. I heard Matty did some deep research into Jameis's back today.
Stanford's at 13.5. It was 14. It's 13.
Okay.
Stanford's dropping. I thought Wisconsin would as well, but Wisconsin's gone the other way. I saw Matty post that. I did not get to read it yet.
I've heard that's what I'm saying. But would you sit Jameis? Would you sit the Jameis for the next 2 weeks?
Did you see the Cat Terrell posted from ESPN Stats and Info? Jameis attempted 11 passes beyond 15 yards.
Yeah.
He was 2 of 11. He was pressured on 1 of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. You have God bless you. You have 4 fractures in your back. If you don't think that affects someone's ability to throw a football, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Like, of course it matters. We saw him with these receivers be so good in camp, in preseason. Like, his timing with Olave on deep balls. Bro, he was bad the other day.
He was really
dude,
bad.
Dude, he's got a broken back. He's got a broken back, man. I wouldn't want to fucking get in my car if I had a broken back.
Well,
I would just want to lay there.
That is why I want to say that I want to read.
And take Loratab and just be out.
Well, I mean, I want to lay there and take Loratab no matter what. So that's not really like a great point to me. But I do want to see what Matty has to say about actual research into the injury, right? Because I feel you. Broken back, I'm thinking like any movement I do hurts like a broken rib.
I'll give you 2 recent examples.
Yeah.
Josh Smith, when he played at LSU, had a stress fracture in a vertebrae.
Yeah.
He basically missed the entire season as a result.
Yeah.
Couldn't swing a bat.
Yeah, baseball players. Yeah.
But, dude, this isn't taking hits from linebackers.
No, you're right.
Number 2 is Tony Romo, who had a similar injury his last year in the NFL. Remember, he had the broken back after week 1?
Yeah.
Dak replaced him. Romo was out till midseason. When he came back, Dak had Wally pipped him.
Wally Pip?
But, Romo was going to miss half the season. So, I don't know if there's much precedent for playing with a broken back.
I mean, I agree. The headline was fucking insane. They're like, yeah, he has a broken back, but it's like chill. It'll heal. It's not going to get worse.
Tolerance. Just shoot him up and let him know they're broken back.
But whatever. I want to read Matty's article before I go too hard on this.
All right, we're done. It's 8:16.
Wait, one more.
Thank you so much for watching. We're at Oliver Twist. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I got to eat this gumbo. You're right, y'all. I love y'all. Mahalo at y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Smash the like button. Oliver Twist. See you. Bye.